Hello everybody, and as promised, I'm gonna be doing some commentary over the last few rounds of my Misery Mettle completion. And this isn't scripted, I'm just gonna go through it, say what's on my mind. I'm gonna mostly target it towards people that have already played the game, but I'm still gonna give like insight to like what each monster does, so I can explain what I'm doing. So even if you've never played before and you're just interested in the house, I can try and just help you understand what's going on, really, and the types of things you're going to see later into nightmare mode where it gets really hard, which is actually interesting because it's actually less RNG later in the run, in my opinion, so it actually kind of gets easier to a point. Yeah, I believe this first monster is Feral. Yeah, it's kind of hard to hear the music. Is layer 1 music's really quiet, you have to listen for it. This is it's actually a really scary monster because each of these attacks you have to dodge, and every single one of them insta-kills. So if you mess up once, you're dead, and that's the run over. That's one thing you'll find about Nightmare Mode, is that the hardest monsters are just the monsters that spam insta-kills. And in a permadeath game mode, it's really annoying. And luckily I wasn't on super bad ping on this server. I was on VAD server, which I think is about like 100 ping for me. Usually I'm playing on like 200 ping, so this is good for me. And any amount of ping makes this mob way harder. And if you're wondering why I'm waiting to jump away, is if you jump away before he makes that little heartbeat noise, you can listen for it while he's slamming here, but the next time he swings, flashes and make a little heartbeat noise. If you jump before that, he'll actually just lunge at you, and it's a really hard to dodge attack when he lunges at you. Oh my gosh, there's a moth on me. So you want to jump, or you want to wait for the heartbeat to jump, and if you have bad ping, it's really hard to wait for the heartbeat because he'll just kill you. But yeah, every 5 swings, his 6th attack, he'll do a slam, and it'll do damage. And if you go below 90 health ever, then he goes crazy and you pretty much die. So you always need to be above 90 health. I recommend Baron for this guy because, as you can see, he has a passive health drain. You can see my health, but Baron like pretty much nullifies it. It's about the same rate of healing. Normally you want to be eating an apple every 2 swings and then saving the crit for the slam. You can always heal up instantly. But with Baron, you can pretty much do whatever you want. He gives passive Hysteria too, but I just try and focus on living before dealing with that. You see the strat I'm doing is like looking side to side, kind of, because part of his AI is he tries to aim where you're looking. He tries to move to where you're looking. So you can kind of abuse that a bit. I'm not doing it here in long, but I will once I get out of long. So I look to the side, and then he's just like, it's slightly easier to dodge hitbox, so you don't have to worry as much about dodging. I look to the side here, and he goes there. So yeah, I recommend doing this. It just makes him slightly more consistent. He's always scary. Like, he's not hard, he's just scary because you can mess up once because of bad ping or lag spike or something, you just die. But yeah, that's Feral. Not the worst ever. If you have Blizzard, it's very, very bad. Blizzard is a weather event that does 3 damage per second to you. And when you have to stay above 90 health, it's very difficult to manage that. Oh yeah, and like Vad said in chat, always, 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 one, think about where bear traps are and if you'll hit one accidentally. Because if you hit one accidentally, you're just instantly getting comboed by Feral and you pretty much die. And since he gives knockback, try and not let him knock back you into a window or the fireplace or just any outside wall, because then you can get followed. I've never had it happen in Nightmare Mode, even getting hit into the window, but I am sure it can. Get followed for the stupidest things. Yeah, but here I have pretty good gates on the boss. I can pretty much live anything with these gates. So yeah, I'm not too worried. Artist is probably LCR, but LCR is always the hardest. And I end up getting Wicked to like TPs. And my initial thought process is like Shorts gate is closed off and Carpet gate's closed off. So I'm just kind of like processing what loop I want to do in my head while I'm kind of just doing this like glorified long loop while I'm thinking. I should have been thinking beforehand, but yeah. And if you don't know who Wicked is, his name's the Wicked Dreamer, and he's one of the two baneful bosses, aka hard bosses in Nightmare mode. And it's a buffed version of a different boss. And pretty much he spawns a bunch of little bear minions that'll attack you. They're not too dangerous, but they can definitely be annoying if they pile up on you. And the doctor himself, he'll TP to you at the start of the round and then TP every like minute or so after. And if he ever sees you, he'll ramp up to like 40 something movement speed, 50 movement speed. It's about the same speed as Bloxiade boosting. And once he sees you with that, it's very hard to survive. He'll do about like 90 damage and sometimes even combo 70 damage into 80 damage and you just die. So yeah, I prepare Baron every single time. And you can see I switch up my route here for the loop I'm doing. I go through clock, and since I have Shorts gate and Carpet gate, it's really easy to just run through here without any punishment because he just can't see me through gates. So it's just a really safe loop. And then I stall back here and fire. He TPs to a dead body, which is a stupid mechanic, but the dead body's luckily in storage, so it's not too bad. And yeah, you can see I'm just stalling to make sure he's coming, and then I continue my loop. The only way you really die to Wicked is if he reverses stupidly somehow, so I just always try and stall. Sometimes the bears are scary, but that's about it. But yeah, once I have this loop set up with these gates, it's just really easy. Like, this boss is really just knowledge on what you want to do, what loop you do, and where he's going to be. I know a lot of people prefer to not use long because it's such a long corridor with no like, you just kind of, it's a really big commitment to just go all the way down there, and if he sees you, you can't like just step out of the way until you're at the very end of long. So a lot of people don't like to use it, but I just use it for this loop anyways because it's just fine. I'm not worried at all. And the gates kind of make it so I can't really do much else. Well, I could do no long loop, but I just want to do this because I'm safe with it, honestly. Yeah, this boss is pretty chill. It, for being a baneful boss, it really isn't hard. As long as you have the knowledge to know what to do. It's harder multiplayer, for sure. You just see TVs on my head there, and then follow me for a bit, which is a fun mechanic. Yeah, this is definitely a lot harder multiplayer because more people to see, more people for him to just accidentally go fast on, more people to mess up your loop, more people for him to aggro on randomly and cut you off. But still though, it's just kind of brain off. Not too bad. With the Nightmare Bears, by the way, if I'm sure you've read this in the NDR Almanac, but when you just jump, it's really easy to dodge their attacks. So I do, when I'm stalling, I just kind of hold down jump. And usually that lets me dodge some. Not every attack though, so you have to be careful to use your crit when you need to. But yeah, pretty simple boss. Nothing too crazy. See, I do a little bit of aura farming there. That is one thing you can see there where, and you did it before as well, when he TVs on your head exactly, for some reason he can just follow you. It's like some weird Roblox lag thing. It can just follow you. And you might have to boost because of it. And I didn't explain this, but when he TPs, he has about like a 5-second window before he can actually move and see you. That's how long you have to get away. Ooh, if I remember correctly, I think this is Tumor that spawns next, and I have a very scary Tumor round, as scary as Tumor can get. So we can watch that, that's gonna be fun. You can see it's already really bad gates for Tumor. Let me just make sure. Yeah, okay. So this is a Tumor ambience. Tumor is a wanderer, which means he doesn't know where you are, like most monsters. So he kind of just wanders the house blindly, but really fast. And usually you want to go to the attic there like I was going, but I had the 2 gates in attic that make it so if he finds you there, you can't escape. And you could probably go attic anyways, because Tumor is just so free. And then like blocks you out if you need to. Bloxy 8 is a boost that makes you go like double movement speed, by the way, for 15 seconds. So it's pretty much the best item in the game for running away. I'll just explain that now so I don't have to later. But it's a 5-minute cooldown, so you have to be careful when you use it. And yeah, you can see I just post up here at window, which isn't good. I think if I redid this, where I should have gone is the outside doorway near atrium. Just stand there. Or even just attic. Yeah, I ended up doing some crazy maneuvers to get to a safe place. I ended up going thermometer. Eventually. You can see how we play this. I forget how long it takes them for them to find me. Yeah, just setting up lights. When you're placing lights, Thunder didn't know this for a really long time. I think he even got the true nightmare before he knew how to place lights correctly. Okay, you can see him go there. So I'm luring him through window. And you see he's there, he cuts me off kind of, but he has really small interest, so I'm just fine now. I make my way to therm. He's so slow and he doesn't even one-shot that it's really free. So now I'm in therm and I have detective on, and it's pretty much just I can't die now. So round success. I made it to where I need to go. And if you're wondering why this spot's so good for Tumor, is because with detective, you can pretty much just loop him here if you need to, if he ever sees you. But you can always just avoid his line of sight using detective, and detective is a trait that marks nearby monsters near you, so you can see them through walls with a danger sign, which is really nice for wanderers like this, so you can just see where they might just randomly walk to. And if they're walking to you, you can just avoid line of sight really easily. But like I was saying before with the lights, it is really important. This game is really knowledge based, so it's really important you have the best knowledge possible by using your lights right. And with the deluxe sentries, they are literally worse than a light bulb, unless, or just light sentries in general. They're literally worse than a light bulb unless you have them pointed where you need to look. You can see Tumor goes there, and I can just easily dodge his line of sight by moving. It's scary, but yeah, it's pretty chill. And that's like the scariest wander around you'll see. Beside, well, for Tumor, Director and Baneful Devourer are 2 other wanderers, and they are much harder, but they don't spawn this late in the nightmare for whatever reason. I don't know why. This is kind of the path that I do to check gates. I'll just explain this once. Is I start fire always if I can. Then once I see the gates come up, I walk through storage, walk into carpet, go through carpet, see if short's there, go to chest room, see if short's there. Then go down, check piano, TV, then attic and window. You only know what I mean if you play the game, but you only need to check gates if you play the game too. I don't know what else to pronounce that. Yeah, that's a new thing I hate, is that sometimes my gates I type in chat just get tagged. That's very annoying. Because I just don't even know what gates I have right now. But I do know the loop I want to do. Oh, I remember, this is actually a really scary Big Hands Man. So this is Big Hands Man. He is one of the hardest monsters to loop in the game. And he's very, very common 40 plus. I actually reverse him there, which is something I've never done before, ever. But he just reverses on my loop. So I have to boost away and then re-equip Hasty, which is the trait that makes you run faster. And I hate going through Atrium here on Big Hands Man, because if you get webbed, you're just dead. And I hate how high stakes that is. Yeah, this loop is very, very scary. I don't like this loop at all. Like I was saying, Big Hands Man is one of the hardest enemies to loop in the game. He goes much faster than you. He slightly slows down out of sight, but he slightly slows down when he's inside of you, or in sight of you, but he's still faster than you. And when he sees you, he throws projectiles at you that can just obliterate you, literally one-shot you. They should not be as strong as they are, but it's the house. Why would we ever nerf projectiles from Big Hands Man? And then he also, this is what makes him hard to loop, is that he places insta-kill traps down behind him. You probably won't ever see him because I'm doing the loop so that the traps despawn before I get back to where I'm going. But he places insta-kill traps that last for 10 seconds. If you touch him, obviously die. So you need to do bigger loops on him to avoid running back into those traps. And then on top of the traps and the projectiles and the insane movement speed, he also does a surge every so often. And this surge specifically just does 25 damage to anyone near him. So you can see I just took the surge damage there. He can spam it as much as he wants, which is very fun. So yeah, pretty much gotta do a loop big enough that you don't run into the traps, but small enough that you can gain distance on him because he moves so fast. And then do that while constantly healing and not being in line of sight. If you're in line of sight, he might just one-shot you with projectiles. You're kind of forced to be in line of sight sometimes, so it's kind of an RNG monster. But yeah. I always jump when I can against Big Hands Man. And you can see I just almost die there. I hit one projectile and it hits like 5 parts of my body and I almost just die fully. That's just how unfair his projectiles are. And that could have been just my run over completely. Yeah, you can see I had to use my coffee twice, which is the slower boost, but shorter cooldown. And then I also had to use my Veloxiade just to live that. Very, very, very scary. I played it bad too. I should have done a better loop, but it was bad gates, so I don't blame myself. If you're wondering the loop, I did an extended shop loop going through Atrium, and then running through storage, down to TV, and then around window. If you're curious what that loop was, but you can just rewind it if you want. If I could redo that loop, I might not even I don't even know what I would do because that's just a hard scenario. I forget what gates I had because it got tagged, but I might have just never even gone atrium at all and just like did a gateless super on storage and then using window sum. I don't know. That's hard. Ooh, here we get Seeker. So Seeker is one of the scariest monsters because it's kind of an RNG check and also a gate check. So this monster is incredibly free if long gate isn't up, and long gate is the gate to my left here that has the really long hallway that I was talking about before with Wicked. And that hallway pretty much just is the only loop you can do on this guy because the way he moves is he's idle for 5 to 6 seconds and then moves at like 100 speed burst for 2 seconds towards you. So it can cover up a bunch of ground getting to you. And if you have long gate, it's incredibly hard to survive him. And you're gonna end up having to boost a lot, or if someone else is alive, they can mark him with detective for you, and that makes it a little bit easier, but it's still hard. You'll probably still end up having a boost. But luckily, even though I had long gate up, I had shop gate, which creates kind of long 2.0, and that's kind of the loop I'm doing right now. This gate right here that I'm just showed, walked by, is shop gate, and when it's up, this loop is just barely long enough to where Seeker can't really get to you, no matter which way he goes. So it's just like barely perfect used for Seeker. So I got pretty lucky here with the shop being up. And yeah, I pretty much just do this all around. I use Lightfoot for better positioning. Some people use Detective to self-mark Seeker to see where he is, but I don't do that. It's too risky in my opinion. Yep, pretty much do this for 4 minutes. If you don't know already, the rounds further into Nightmare mode tend to get really, really, really long, especially 40 to 50. Just the base rounds are 3 to 4 minutes each, at least. And that can really just make some enemies a lot harder. Some of the RNG enemies could get more RNG chances to kill you over that 4-minute time than they normally would with like a 2-minute timer. If you want to take note of the spots I'm doing based on the sound of where Seeker's at, you can go and you can do that if you want, but it's just kind of instinct. I just kind of go off my instinct on where to go. Alright, so next round, minor spoilers, but I get Unknown Monster 5, and if you don't want to see Unknown Monster 5, skip ahead to the next round. But otherwise, I will try my best to give insight on this complex monster, but I doubt I can do it justice in the 4 minutes of round length. So immediately you can hear he starts running at you with loud clanking footsteps. And you're not gonna be able to see this till the end, but he's kind of like a robot bear trap amalgamation. He's really cool looking, and he's by far one of the hardest base monsters for sure. And what I'm doing here is I'm window looping, just this loop I'm doing right here. And I'm looking slightly diagonal. And the reason I'm doing that is because obviously he moves really, really fast, but he also tries to predict your movement to cut you off. But while doing that, you can look to the side and kind of bait him into running into a wall. So I'm looping while looking diagonal to slow him down. And maybe I can show Vad's POV, but he's just like running to the wall sometimes when he gets close. It's a lot. And you can also see he's placing traps down behind him. These little like small gray bear traps. And they hurt. If you step on 2, you die instantly. With that, if you don't heal. So they're very, very scary. And eventually, any loop you do, you'll get overwhelmed with these. So you're gonna have to swap eventually. You can see I'm just trying to dodge him. And that sound he made there, little like clanking metal opening noise, that was the sound of him placing a bear trap. So you can like judge where he is and where he makes that noise to where he just placed that bear trap. And here I switch, and I should not have gone this way. This way was very, very scary. And he actually almost kills me here. Or at least gets my blocksy. He gets super close behind me. But I ended up making it to this loop, which is pretty good. This loop, I think you keep your distance on him. You place the trap, just steer to that. So I'm gonna run into that without knowing. You can see that instantly does like 55 contact damage to me. It's very scary. I go to this clock root loop here. And I kind of make a mistake on my looping that I shouldn't have done, is I switched loops here to this. There was no reason to switch loops. And this loop's way worse than the clock loop I was doing. So you can hear he's kind of catching up. He's right behind me. So I boost away. I go through storage and then back through TV. And he's really fast. So he actually almost kills me here at the slowdown. He gets super close. I could have easily just died there. But luckily I make it back to this clock loop. And he actually doesn't insta-kill on a melee, so like when I say kill me, I would just have to blocksy away. I would live still, but he would get my blocksy. But when he does hit you, he can sometimes go into an overdrive state. You can see I'm just doing this clock loop for the rest of the round pretty much. But he goes into an overdrive state where he runs faster than coffee boosting speed and just murders you completely. And he only stops his overdrive state if you get out of sight. But obviously it's pretty much impossible to get out of sight when he's just so fast and right up on you. So you're pretty much dead unless he's blocksy 8 if he's in his overdrive. And this is something I noticed, is that he's just not placing traps in this loop anymore. And I don't know if he has like a limit to how many traps he can place, or if he just bugs it out near the end of rounds. But he just stops placing traps. And I think he placed about 7 traps. Maybe that's his limit, I don't know. Yeah, you can see him there at the end. That was my first ever solo survival of that guy. Mostly because he's so rare, and secondly because he's hard. He's really hard. So I'm so glad I was able to get that, especially in the run where I win. Whew. After that, I was like, I had the mindset, if I die this run, at least I survived Unknown 5 for the first time. Yeah, I'm so glad I got that. I think I played well, except for where I went after the boost. And I didn't even need the boost if I didn't swap loops there. I think I should just kept going clock until I place the trap and do like a different short loop or something. Yeah, in general, my tips for that guy: spam the heck out of short loops. If window is open, do that looking diagonal. If he's catching up to you on a loop, start looking diagonal and you'll run into a wall. Shop works if you look diagonal, I'm pretty sure. I think Tut did shop loop while looking diagonal, and it worked. Just don't die to, like, if you get two traps on top of each other, just swap loops immediately. Because you don't want to just risk instant dying. And yeah, if he ever overdrives and hits you, just instantly blocks you. Don't even coffee, because you're gonna get stuck coughing and they're just gonna die. Yeah, really complicated monster. I didn't even do it justice in the 4 minutes I gotta talk about it. But now we're on Woody. And Woody is also really complicated, and it's hard to say what you do with this guy because it's really knowledge based and you just have to know. But pretty much Woody is, he has the base version of himself and then he spawns 3 clones that are usually idle. And he's slower out of sight and really fast in sight. And when he gets to you, he melees you for about 40 damage and you cannot die with it. And you can see he just screamed, and when he screams, every clone gets activated and starts targeting the nearest player, which is just you when it's solo. And you can out heal the clone damage really easily with Voracious, and Voracious is a perk that makes so your healing items like the golden apple heal you more. So you can see I'm just kind of out healing it. And when the scream ends, Woody TPs to a random spot on the map and the clones go idle again. And my general recommendation is when the scream ends and Woody TPs, just run to anywhere you can short loop. Because it's really easy to get him off you if he's hitting you if you just short loop. Like just cutting corners super fast, he just gets off you really easily. So I would just like run the storage, run the clock. And once he starts hitting me, or if I see him before then, luckily, then I can just short loop and get him off. But after I know where Woody is, I kind of map loop, just looking around the house to see where the clones spawned, because they also TP to random locations after the scream. And I do that so the clones don't randomly cut me off and one-shot me. Like here, if there was 3 clones going there, which there actually kind of is, if all of those guys hit me at the same time, I kind of would have just died. So I should have done better pathing there for that to not happen. But yeah, that's kind of my plan there. And Woody himself does more damage than the clones. And you can't out-heal it with Voracious even. So if he's ever hitting you and you can't short loop him to get him off you, then you just coffee away. Don't risk it. And yeah, pretty chill. He's not hard as long as you have experience with him and just know how to get him off you correctly and how to not get RNG murdered by 3 clones hitting you at once because you didn't know where they were coming from. I'm old. I see a lot of newer players struggle with Woody because they kind of just always map loop and then they just get Woody on them and they're just unable to out heal and they can just die. And they just don't know how to get Woody off them. But really practice on knowing how to get him off. Just short looping, literally any short loop works. He's really weird on how he moves. So here I just get Tumor again, which is wonderful. Luckily I don't have Attic L. So I can just go attic and sit AFK. Yep, this is where you usually go for wanderers. Just here in attic and wait, and it's very rare for them to come up here. I don't like how it's designed, how wanderers are designed. But I'm not Uber, so I don't make decisions. And this is all you're gonna see for this round. Feel free to skip ahead. Alright. That's Tumor. Don't know why he's in 40 to 50, but he is. He's kind of a break. Just ease your nerves almost, which I don't mind at all. I would rather Mystery Mettle be way different if the Rector was in this pool besides Tumor. Much more RNG, what I'll say. Here we get Maestro, which can be very, very, very bad, depending on gates, depending on if you have the Bloodlust vent or not. But in general, Maestro, pretty chill. He has 3 phases. Looks like a big organ. And this current phase is blue, aka mournful. So he gets really, really sad. And he runs to the nearest person and just stands in front of them. And if you move, he'll just kill you. So you have to stand still. If you move at all, you'll die instantly. And for multiplayer, other people that he isn't targeting, you have to come and be in line of sight of him and stand still and mourn with him. Otherwise, you'll take damage. It's pretty cool. I like his design. It'd be very scary. You can see he goes in the red next, which is Wrathful. And this is a pretty simple phase. He's slow out of sight and fast in sight, which is just pretty basic enemy mechanic. Since you're stuck in first person, it's kind of hard to see him coming without him seeing you as well. But he's also just a giant loud organ, so you can listen for him. And if he gets a kill, he will kill you and then kill anyone else in line of sight. Very scary. Yeah, this phase is pretty chill. Pretty much any loop works on this phase. I just do long loop because it's the easiest. Actually, I don't even know if I get the third phase here, which is green. We'll see. Yeah, we just get blue again. And I like to press escape, so I literally can't input any movement keys to just, because like, I don't want to die. I don't want to accidentally press W and have my 4-hour run gone. So I just press escape, so I literally can't. And then it's chill. Yeah, loops you can do for this guy: long loop, shop loop, window loop. For red, you can do pretty much any loop. For green, it's scary. You can do a lot of loops, but pretty much shop, long, and wind are the only good ones. You can kind of loop around storage, but it can cut you off. Okay, we do get a green phase. So green is the hardest phase. It is the gleeful, where he is really slow in sight, but really fast out of sight. You can see he kind of just always right behind you. And he places traps down that expand over time. And the traps do like 40 damage and make it really hard to see. I might step on one, I don't know. I'll step on one eventually, I think. But they go away if you step on them 3 times, but usually if you can help it, you don't want to step on them, because you don't want to risk just being fully blind or just taking the damage and dying. And you can see there, he also flanks on this phase. So what I mean by that, you can see the UI there for stepping on a trap, is by flanking, I mean he can just leave like running right behind you and just go somewhere else random on the map and place a trap and then come back to you. And that can be really scary because he runs fast doing that. So you always need to be careful on where he is. And like I said, he's a loud organ, so you can hear where he is. So they're usually not that bad. But just always be wary. That's the only phase he flanks on. I don't know why he flanks in that phase at all, but he does. And that's Maestro. Luckily we got to see all 3 phases there. This is the Gyro, which is a really easy monster, but unfortunately has some RNG that can just kill you, which is really annoying. So how he works, as you can see there, he runs really fast to you until he is able to tether onto you and exhaust you, so you can't run anymore, you can only walk. And he drains your health too. I'm laughing there because Thunder died 48 to Gyro bugging out, and this is round 48 and I got Gyro again. But yeah, because of a panic attack after some time, and he floods the entire house with blood, killing anyone who isn't in the attic. So you have to come into the attic and just like circle him around this box, and that's pretty much the only loop you can really do. Yeah, he's really simple, but he can choose to not slow down when coming to you and just kill you, and there's not much you can do about it. It's really annoying. Yeah, these balls he spawns are like little mini traps. They can be kind of annoying. If you touch them, they'll sit stun you, and by sit stunning, it makes you sit and you have to jump to get out of it. And they also do damage. And the damage they do can be very bad because Gyro is already draining your health down to very low. So if you don't dodge them right, sometimes you can just die. And if you get sit stunned and don't react fast enough, Gyro will just gobble you up. You can see every so often the tether and the exhaust effect will disappear. And it's probably not safe to do this, but I like to run when that happens to like quote unquote get some distance, but like you won't really get much distance at all. Doesn't really matter. But I mostly do it for the FOV because I hate being zoomed in. You can see it zooms in your FOV when you stop sprinting. If you keep sprinting, you'll have your FOV still zoomed out when you're exhausted. That's the main reason I do it. The weird mechanic there. I just like having more FOV by sprinting again. Yeah, recommended traits, use Baron for this guy. Lightfoot if you don't have Baron. Baron, the trait. Baron is a very good trait. Basically, it gives you, I almost died there by the way. It gives you passive healing, and the passive healing is increased the lower health you are. And if you're in very low health, it gives you a shield. And the reason Baron's good is Gyro puts you to low health. So you're gonna be healing a lot. You can see my health, it's like fluctuating really fast between like 30 and 35, 36. And normally it'd be putting your health down to 20 or 24. But luckily Baron is healing so much that I pretty much just get extra health for free. And if I ever do mess up and get really low, then I'll get a shield. And I can just be saved from dying. And Lightfoot, the other trait I said, probably one of the best traits in the game. You lose 15 max health, so you have 85 max health. But you physically can't get webbed or trapped. And the webs are like little things you can just jump over. If you touch them, you get stunned for 5 seconds pretty much and you die. But being able to walk through them and have better pathing through looping is really nice sometimes. And you can see when I get the True Nightmare, I actually use Lightfoot because it's so strong for looping. And this is round 49, last round before round 50, obviously, where the True Nightmare spawns. So I'm very stressed. If it couldn't get worse, Math spawns.
17, 20.
Math is very simple on paper, but very stressful. He is, I'll walk up to him here, you can see him. He's a little math professor who forces you to do problems. He's very slow, and he will stay slow unless you get a problem wrong. And if you get one wrong, he'll target you for 10 seconds, going way faster than you, and pretty much kill you if he gets to you. So, what that means is getting a question wrong can mean just dying instantly. So it's very stressful, even though it's simple math. And the game likes to stress you out by putting way more operators on addition and subtraction puzzles or problems than they should be. So you have to think through it. You can see -4 plus 4, and there's just parentheses around the -4 for no reason. And then maybe in the next problem we'll see. Yeah, this one, it likes to do is the negative parentheses -8, so it's actually +8. It's really annoying. Yeah, the tip for this guy, just loop. Take your time on answering, because if you don't answer in time, you're marked for 10 seconds. And by marked, that's the length of time you'll target you for and going faster. And if you just get a question wrong, you're marked for 5 seconds. But if you get it wrong and then don't answer, it's really bad. Because it's like possibly 15 seconds of being marked. So I always like to take my time, just make sure I get the answer right. And contrary to popular belief, getting a question right does not remove your mark. He will still run at you and kill you even if you get the next question right. You just have to outlast the 10 seconds, usually by boosting with coffee or bloxing. And the one good thing you'll see about Math is that he has an invisible facet he can give you. By facet, facets don't even exist in Nightmare mode, but there's a bug or something, I don't even know, that makes it so they do. You just can't see them, they're invisible. The facet is like a trait about your character that gives you a small buff or something. And positive facets gives good buffs, and negative facets gives bad ones. It's hard to explain, but pretty much all you need to know is that this guy gave me a positive facet that lets me swap between traits in 1 second. The cooldown between swapping traits is 1 second, as opposed to the 10 seconds it normally is, which is doesn't sound good, or maybe it does, but it is, yes, it is very, very, very good. You want to swap traits as much as you want. And I got very lucky to get that facet and have Math spawn on 49 right before True Nightmare, because I firmly believe if you have the Math facet, you can win any True Nightmare run. And if you don't, it's kind of RNG. You can see me checking gates here. Very high stress moment. I get really good gates, luckily. I have long atrium, old, short. Yeah, long atrium, old, short. And it's pretty good gates. Having long cutoff is bad for looping in general, and bad for like connecting totems, totem pathing, and bad for corruption phase, which is the hardest True Nightmare phase. I'll try and explain True Nightmare here soon. You can see me swapping traits there super fast because I have Astute. Astute is the name of the Math facet. Yeah, overall, these gates are good. Atrium is a dead end for one of the totems, and I end up getting that totem set that has that totem. So I have to end up bloxing for that totem. But if I am to explain this behemoth of a monster in all its complexity as much as I can, I'll try my best. Basically, round 50 is the True Nightmare. And for the first 2 minutes, you face against the Death duo. The True Nightmare isn't even there, it's just Death Sentinel and Death Wasp. And basically, Death Sentinel, you'll see eventually when I start it, he has a gun and he shoots you, and you have to run away. You have to dodge the bullets, and it's kind of RNG. And then Death Wasp is just always right behind you as like a meat grinder almost, just spinning. You'll kind of see it. It's hard to explain, but he's just like a spinning meat grinder behind you, where if you slow down at all, he'll explode you. He's not literally a meat grinder, he's the actual monster, but yeah, you'll see it. And then after those 2 minutes, you get the True Nightmare, which is the hardest boss in Nightmare at the very end, requiring you to use all the knowledge, all the complexity, all your looping knowledge, all your facet swapping, trait swapping skills, just everything. Making the best possible decisions and not messing up at all, even for a second, even for a moment. And you can see I'm typing in chat. The main gimmick the True Nightmare does is at the very start, he spawns 5 totems. And if you don't collect, and by collecting, you don't stand on those 5 totems and collect them and touch them, before 2 minutes and 45 seconds pass, you instantly die. So you need to collect those totems as fast as you can. And that's the main difficulty, I'd say, and main kind of RNG of the monster, because looping him in general is hard, but it's a lot harder when you have to collect totems, so yeah. And the totems spawn all around the map, and there's 3 totem sets, and you can see in chat I typed the 3 totem sets. And you probably won't understand what any of that means, but basically I'm saying where on the map the 3 totems sets will spawn. Where on the map the 5 totems within each set spawn. And knowing where the totems spawn makes it 20,000 times easier. And pretty much no RNG on getting totems, as long as you're good. The only RNG with collecting totems is gates and what phase True Nightmare does. And you're like, phases? What are phases? Yeah, I've said that before, but True Nightmare has 9 phases. The first one he does, and the one he'll always swap to, is base phase, where he's faster than you and like slightly even faster if he sees you, and he just runs at you. And then he has 8 other phases that he can swap to every 10 seconds. He'll swap to a phase for 10 seconds and then swap back to base phase. And the phases consist of, I'll explain them as they happen, but just for an idea, there's corruption phase, where he mimics the corruption monster, and basically he gets his speed stats change, so he's fast out of sight and slow in sight. And then there's the whisperer phase, where he mimics the whisperer monster, and his stats change to be fast in sight but really slow out of sight, so you have to loop him without him seeing you. And then he has a bunch of different gimmicky phases. I'll try and explain as they happen. The only phase that I will explain right now, because it doesn't happen in the run, is Wooden Nightmare phase, where he runs at like 300 movement speed to you, and then stands still, and surges. And surges is the complex. It's a complex monster, to stick with me. A lot of information. If you don't care that much, it's okay. He has an ability where he surges. He can do it at any phase, he can do it whenever he wants. In surging, he does 20 to 30 damage, RNG, and then sit stuns you. You can do it as much as he wants, you can spam it as much as he wants, and there's nothing you can do about it, you just have to out heal it. So yeah, what a nightmare phase runs 300 movement speed to you, surges, and then stares at you, and then swaps to base form. That's the only phase you won't see. You can hear this aura music, I love it so much. Yeah, this monster is very complex. Very, very complex. And I'll explain this next ability he has, called the Denouement Scream. I think it's a French word, I don't know. Where he stops moving for like 5 seconds, charges up a scream, and anyone too far away from him is set to 5 health, and anyone closest has his health divided by 4. Has their health divided by 4. Or 5 or something. It's very scary and has a 60-second cooldown, and you can use it at any phase whenever he wants. As long as it's not on cooldown. And you can see the different ways I counter it. But here, I'm looping the Death Duo, and this is the recommended loop I do. Just running in a square around this storage area, because it has spots for Death Sentinel to catch up, so he never flanks. And then also spots to dodge his bullets. So I really like it. Pretty simple loop. Kind of RNG. I use Baron because a headshot from Death Sentinel's gun does 95 damage. And I don't want to die if that happens. You can see all these fires around the map. Most of them, if you touch them, you'll be set on fire and be completely blind for like 2 or 3 seconds, which sucks because you don't want to be looping the hardest monster in the game while blind. So luckily, Lightfoot, the thing that lets you step through traps and step through cobwebs without actually hitting them, also works on these fires. So that's another reason why I use Lightfoot for this boss. And you'll see the first phase he does is Corruption when he spawns. In Corruption phase, like I said, he's fast out of sight and slow in sight. So he's pretty much always right behind you. But for some reason, the devs decided to make it, aka Brutez, decided to make it so he's still really fast in sight. He's actually faster than if you don't have the hasty trait, which is the trait that makes you run slightly faster. So it's literally just a hasty check. He's so fast for no reason. Let's see, now it's time for True Nightmare to spawn after doing the Death Duo. And if you're wondering, you pretty much always start this bathroom area to collect totems because it gives you enough time, enough distance to be able to start looping True Nightmare while checking these hard totems that are all in dead ends. So yeah, pretty much just getting these totems for free at the start. They spawn. And you'll see I get the Gramophone totem set, which is the hardest one for these gates by far. And Gramophone means there's a totem next to the Gramophone there on the left. You can see that one will spawn. That's why we call it Gram Totem Set. Here I'm running Instant Corruption phase, which is by far the worst phase to instantly start with. So I'm forced to do this really bad loop, but it works. And always spam jump when you're looping Corruption phase because of the surges. If you get sit stunned once while you're not spamming jump, you die. Here he does the scream. I use a medkit for the healing. I get set to 5 HP because I'm slightly too far. Now he can't do the scream for another 60 seconds, and I boost because Corruption phase ended, and now he's right behind me while fast, so I have to boost away. I try and get this totem. Nightmare phase stuns you and does 40 damage or something. Very scary. Can kill you if you don't do it right. He can't kill you while in that phase except for the damage from Nightmare. I blocks you away to get the Atrium totem. He does Silence phase. If you look at him in this phase, he will kill you. If you don't look, he's slow. But as long as you don't look, you'll be fine. You know, I get the Atrium totem, I use my Bloxy. Just quickly swap to Hasty when I can. So every time you boost, you lose your Hasty buff. And now I only need the Attic totem. So I activate both my traits, and now I'm going to Attic. And he's going to do Nightmare phase again. Always stand still when he does Nightmare phase, otherwise you'll go flying into Narnia. Now I loop him around. He does his scream. I place a Hell Kit down. Get this totem. Get the medkit I drop behind me. Boost away and heal from the medkit and apple. And now I have all 5 totems, and the objective is just to live. Does Nightmare phase again, stunning me. I stand still perfectly. I heal. I use Bean Strat. That's a complicated thing I'm not going to explain right now. And now I just have to survive. I have all 5 totems, I just need to live. So my preferred loop is going to Window. He does Tumor phase. And plants you with a Tumor that does 3 damage a second for 2 minutes. Very, very scary, especially when you're set to 5 health. Every so often by his Scream. So now I'm just looping him. And I like this loop because if he ever goes in the Whisperer phase, I won't instantly die. This is Glitch phase. It's the opposite of Silence phase. He won't move at all if you're looking at him. But if you aren't looking at him, you die. He runs Mach 10 at you and kills you. So I'm just sitting here far away waiting for him to switch back to base while he surges me 500 times. And he does a Scream and swaps back to base for him at the same time. I time my thing perfectly. You can see I go down to 2 health there because of Tumor doing 3 damage to me. And I almost die, but luckily I time my apple and medkit right. He does Tumor phase again, which does nothing because I already have the Tumor in me. The mark goes away, so it's a lot easier to see and loop now. And now the Tumor is gone because it's been 2 minutes. I'm very lucky of that. Now his Whisper phase, very scary phase. I've actually never done this phase before until now. I just got unlucky with him never doing this phase. If he sees you at all while you're looping, you die. So you need to do this loop very perfectly. You can see how slow he is. And then back to base phase, that's the base phase noise, and we're back to looping. He does a Scream. I try and get next to him through a wall so I don't just die. You can see I get my health divided by 4 because I'm closer to him. Nightmare phase, I heal doing Beans tech. And actually, I don't see him here, so I'm kind of scared. So I hold my coffee out, but he's behind me luckily, so I just keep going. This is Collar phase. Stuns you and makes you walk towards him. He stands still while in line of sight though, so I use that by just standing here. And now he's back in base phase, so I try and get away from him as much distance as possible while trying to go back to that window loop. Now he's in silence phase again. And now you just loop normally. What counts as looking at him is not your camera, but your player model. So I can look back at him while I'm looping, and it's fine as long as I see him. And one last Scream. Time it perfectly. Doesn't matter, it doesn't go off and I win. Insane. It's so hard to say everything with how complex these monsters are. But that was my best shot.
It's done. Oh my gosh. It's over.
This has been such a long journey for me. It's incredible. It really is.
No.
It still doesn't feel real.
Gosh.
I'm just so thankful for everyone that supported me along my journey and everyone that believed in me.
It's over. That was this. It was the best run ever.
I was gifted by the gods to just have such a good run that went on. And that is my misery medal. Crazy.
Oh my god.
Thank you for watching.
It's over.
See ya.